Hi. Like I said, things are gonna start rolling fast. It's like 2 days later and we're here, Camburg, aka Ford Central, to pick up something for the Scout. Let's get in here and see if Jerry's here and see if we can get him to get on camera. Get in there. All right, yeah, like I said, we're here at Camburg and we're picking up something that I wasn't really planning on doing, but after kind of like weighing all the options, going through everything, it just made sense to basically go with a Camburg part, something that Camburg's built. Obviously, you guys have seen, if you've followed on Instagram, you've seen pretty much any IFS truck that I've had has had Camburg long travel or Camburg mid travel suspension on it. So we'll get into the shop here, waiting for Jerry, and we're gonna have him walk through kind of what we did and kind of how we ended up here. So show us to it, dude. Jerry, Camburg.
The Mr. Dust.
Here, let me open the door for you, sweetheart.
Did you guys bring the horses from that?
Coming in hot.
Ready? You ready to look at that axle housing?
So there it is, dude. We're here to get the axle housing that Camburg has built for the Scout.
Yeah. Look, we put it in the kids' race truck.
Bummer, dude. Well, you know what?
We can build you another one in a day, though, if you need it. If you need it fast, we'll do it in a day.
So that kind of gets to the point. Why did I go with the Camburg housing? One?
Because you can.
One, yeah, you know, come on. One, no, really, though. One, U.S. made, fully built here. Two, I could buy a junkyard axle, invest, you know, a new third member, axles, brakes, do all the whole thing, and then come to find out it's bent, it's cracked, whatever. It's not the right setup, and it wouldn't be a full foot. So I want you to explain kind of the benefits of exactly why you build it. Why would you guys, you know, you build race trucks, but why would you guys want to offer a completely fabricated housing, spec it out? Like, what's the benefit? And why would somebody do that if they don't know?
So, if you're watching this video, you're going through what Jason's going through, and you just want quality off-road parts, that's what we do. So, obviously you can go to the junkyard and go find a Ford Torino and cut all the tubes out of it and extend the tubes and put little tubes in it. But you're still dealing with that like old school factory, like we call it like noodly metal. It's like wet metal. It just bends really easy. And then there's, you know, the aftermarket housings where people have re-stamped out 9-inch. And yeah, it's cool for a hot rod, right? But even that stuff now with LS power and, you know, these trucks used to have, 200 horsepower stock if you're lucky. Like a 95 Ford Lightning would have like maybe 200 horsepower and a little bit more torque. And these days, like a stock LS3 is pushing like 450 horsepower on the lowest level, and that's what everyone's using these days. So it just comes down to like the rigidity, the strength, the investment. So once you really add up a housing, flanges, axles, and all those hard parts, let's just not look at brakes and a diff, just the axles, the housing and all that. Yeah, for more money, and not that much more money, you can wind up with the highest quality quarter wall chromoly tubes, 3.5 inch, not 3 inch, or even 4 inch that we can do. A whole center section that's wider, which acts like a truss, then we truss it on top of that. It's internally welded to the tubes, not just one hole, stick it in and weld it. It actually gets welded here and then another X amount of inches deeper in the housing, a whole nother plate inside. It's all 3/16 steel, which we do chromoly, and we do a high tough steel depending on which center section you start with. After that whole center section's built, we then CNC machine the faceplate, drill and tap all the holes in the CNC machine, so these diffs, the dropout, will bolt right in and out. You don't have to like drill out the holes and make them bigger so the thing fits sloppy. And then all of our housings, because of our tooling process, the axles just go in. We're not taking the snouts and offsetting them or grinding on them to make sure it's straight, even you know it's not straight. These are straight. That's how we build them.
Yeah, I was gonna go with the smaller pre-runner setup, But since they were phasing it out, I kind of looked at it like, I'd rather have forward compatibility, because what if I want to turn this Scout into like, you know, do trailing arms, do a 4-link, I want to do like 40s on it, or I just want to take that axle and move it to the next build. I didn't want to buy something that was just kind of junk. I throw away the axle, I throw away the diff, I throw away the locker. I wanted something that eventually I could build that around the power plant, and then everything around the build kind of takes form. If you just start kind of half-assing it, I think you're just going to end up with a half-ass result, and then you end up building a whole new car. And like literally every, like I said in the beginning of the video, every IFS truck that I've had has had Camburg race parts on it. Every performance, our Raptors are built the same. I think it's a matter of like a shock package. But I mean, these guys are building race trucks. They're the experts in this, and I just trust all of that expertise, years of R&D, testing, racing. They're experts, so why not? If I can support, like they support us, if I can support them, keep their guys building shit in the US, why would I not do that? So let's go check this thing out.
All right, so I'm gonna flip this thing over to show you guys the inside, and that's where a lot of the magic is happening on these housings. So you see this shiny faceplate right here? That's because when we build this whole center section, after that's all welded internally and everything's done, now we machine this with a big giant fly cutter, and it machines it perfectly flat, and then we drill and tap all the holes. Now most companies are laser cutting out these holes before it gets welded. And what happens is when you do all this external welding in these areas, it stretches and pulls and pushes the holes from all the heat and the stretching of the metal, and the diff won't actually bolt on very well. Inside, I don't know if you can get up in there, but you can see that plate that's welded inside, and that's what we're talking about. So that keeps the oil more in this area here, so it's not sloshing down into here. Keeps the oil focused on the diff, and then the oil that goes down the tube to lube the bearings does what it does. And we hold, like I said, about 1.5 gallons, and so that's definitely a big plus.
Flip it over. Yeah. Look at this little baby truss, dude. It's like, yeah. It's almost like overkill to have it because it's so small.
Yeah.
And what they were saying they could do, it was just, one, I wasn't planning to go this route, but as any project, it just spins out of control. But what they could do is they could pretty much do anything you want. And they had a really cool idea of bringing the truss further out, and the leaf springs would actually go through the truss, and it would be a full custom deal, which would have looked really cool, and I really wanted to do it.
That's for like the U-bolts.
Yeah, the U-bolts would just go through that,
yeah,
and the truss would go further. But because it's not like a trophy truck, it's not super wide, I wanted to keep it appropriate. This is no wheel spacers are going to be used. It's exactly what I needed, and it just, I think it looks really cool to kind of keep it that way. And then, as you saw on the other axles, if I wanted to go 4-link or whatever, still do it. It's just a perfect platform to not have some, you know, factory cast center that you're killing all the heat treat. It's just built for your application.
And this is going to save a lot of unsprung weight. So
100%.
You know, chromoly, quarter wall chromoly tubes are extremely rigid, really strong, and compared to like a cast like Dana style, you're saving a lot of weight here, and that's all your unsprung weight, so it really helps with the handling of the vehicle. And honestly, like before you bend this thing with the leaf spring truck, you're going to shear off that centering pin on your springs, and your bolt's going to slide 100%. Back before you ever bend this thing.
Yeah, is this overkill for the Scout build? Yeah, most definitely. But is it worth the forward compatibility and just knowing it's going to go together right, and that it's not just you lose the value immediately because you're just repurposing a junk axle and doing all this work extra. It's just,
and really at the end of the day, I don't think it's even overkill. It's just you won't be having problems.
Right.
With the other stuff, it's not enough, and you will be having problems, which then when you fix those problems, you could have just had them. And that's what we do so many runs here with the guy that had a buddy, or they got their buddy deal with some like internet mail order. You know, they slam these things out quick, and they look to be a few $100s less until you add up the features that just come standard. We're actually less money. We just do it one way. You just get a lot more for your money, and you get quality. and that's the only way. These are hand built here in Huntington Beach, California, and we're just building them. The same standards of this is exactly what's in a trophy truck. The difference is MIG welding versus TIG welding, and in some cases we have MIG welded ones in trophy trucks, like Kyle Jurgensen's dad's truck. They've won all kinds of races. It's the same exact thing. So it's in a trophy truck. Different size axles, but hey, you can do that too. So let's get this thing loaded up. I got some work to do.
All right, dude. Cool, dude. Thank you. You guys are probably thinking like, yo, he probably got that axle housing for free. Nope. Nope. The only reason why I wanted to come by here and bring you guys along is one, because it's freaking, I'm super stoked about this. I'm amped. I never thought I would ever be in a position to be, one, building this truck right now, two, just be putting this level of parts on my builds. And dude, it's just rad. Like, I'm stoked, and I'm sharing this because, like, dude, I have family that watches these videos and they're like proud of how far I've come. And like, I don't know, I feel like anybody would be stoked on seeing this stuff that would be watching these videos anyway. So like, make no mistakes, this whole build, just this axle housing alone is way more than I ever wanted to be invested in this build. And it's not that I didn't want to invest in it, just way more than I thought I would be able to invest. So I'm just blessed to be in the position to be able to do this. And this is not some paid advertisement. Hey, come down, let's do some content, you know, let's walk you through the shop, dude. Like that axle is worth the money, and that's why I spent it. I paid for that axle, I paid for all the parts, and Camburg was just cool enough to make it happen and work with me so closely to just make it exactly for this build and guide me through the process of doing it. And just, as everybody's been doing with this build, is push me to just do it right. So I'm stoked. It's cool that you guys didn't like assemble anything. I don't have axle shafts for 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Sick,
It's
dude.
full floater. It'll roll. Oh my gosh. Shove it in. Oh well.
Alright, I think
Yo,
we gotta-
finish your car, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Come on, man.
Why don't you help me, dude? Just make me a light bar already.
Help me with the 4Runner, the F100, the sand car.
Oh, we gotta get the rest of the parts. What, dude?
What?
You're still here, dude. Fuck. Back to the shop, get it on a pallet. Straight to eBay.